Hey everybody, welcome back to Garden Time with Belle. It is a glorious day in my Zone 6B Mid-Missouri garden. It's about 62 degrees on this beautiful Saturday morning, and it is May the 11th. So I thought, how about let's do a walkabout around the garden today, because some of my spring blooming perennials and shrubs are showing off right now, and they won't be showing off forever. And so I always love going on garden tours at different times of the year and getting to see how things change over time. So that's what I thought we'd do today. I haven't done a walkabout tour with you all, so I thought, yeah, let's share a little bit about what's starting to bloom, like this gorgeous rose, climbing rose behind me, which I'll mention to you all. The term walkabout is something that we used with our sons when they were little. We would take walkabouts, meaning just, spontaneous walking adventures over and around their grandparents' farm. We would go exploring in Southwest Missouri and take little walkabouts and just on our own property. One of the things I love to do as a gardener is I take a lot of pictures, as I'm sure some of you do, each year and at different times of the year, and then I can look at more objectively, like what was blooming when and how did it look and how was it doing. It's just so fun. Who doesn't like, sort of that catalog of, in the beginning of the season, it's springtime here, summer, fall. Oh, you want to see beauty year round when you can. And so this way we'll capture it when, by doing some of these walkabouts. So yeah, so let's get started. So we're gonna take you around the property and show you some of my little garden beds. We'll go into my raised bed vegetable, herb, and flower garden. Oh, here comes some geese. Mr. and Mrs. G, if you've been watching my video, I've been highlighting this wonderful goose couple that brought their goslings to visit last week, which was really fun and special to see. Anyways, yeah, it's easy to get distracted out here in the country because there's so many beautiful critters flying around. But anyways, okay, back to the walkabout. So let's get started. We'll go around the house, and then I'm going to take you into my raised bed garden, as I said, and in our 2-acre pollinator habitat that we started 3 summers ago. I thought we'd start on the north side of the house so we can be in the shade to begin with, because before long I'll be putting on my sunglasses. So look at this beauty. I mean, let's start off with a stunner. This beautiful climbing rose is a David Austin rose called Gertrude J. Oh, and we've got a little friend in the petals. Let's see if I can zoom in. So isn't she beautiful? I planted Gertrude J. Last year. I think it was probably last April, late April. I put her in the ground as a bare root rose. And over the course of the summer last year, she grew up and out. So I have pruned her a little bit. I think I pruned her in late March. I went to the David Austin website, and I can learn so much from them. They give great ideas and tips on how to care for all of their special English roses. What I love about Gertrude J. is, of course, she's a prolific bloomer. She's highly disease resistant, and as an English rose, she is known for her absolutely spectacular fragrance. Roses like these smell like roses, unlike those things everybody sees in the big box store. So yeah, let's just walk down this little sidewalk up to our front porch. So of course I've got some just little boxwoods. This is another Gertrude J. So I've got some twins tucked in. Again, I am on the west side of the house, so they're shaded in the morning, but from about noon, 1 o'clock on till sunset, they get plenty of sun. Oh, and here's my Clematis. Clematis Jack Manny. Again, this is a classic Clematis that are so easy to grow. and I placed it here on this trellis, and I think this is its third year. And as you all probably know, when it comes to perennials and shrubs and things like that that come out year after year, first year they sleep, second year they creep, and third year and beyond they really start to leap. So this Jack Manny will cover this easily over the course of the next few months. So here I've got some spirea. You know, I showed you this sidewalk to our front door that it absolutely drives me crazy. When they built this house, we didn't build it, but whenever they built this house, look at how narrow these flower beds are. Like, who can grow anything in a, I think that's like 2.5 foot, maybe 3 at the most wide. So that's why I chose some of these really smaller shrubs. They stay small to fit the space. But eventually, the plan, with the help of my son, who has a landscaping company, we're going to have this all torn out, and we're going to, of course, expand the beds way out to about here, and our sidewalk to the house will be in this section. So we're going to move everything out so I can have more space for plants. So let's just keep coming down here. Everybody's got a project, right? Oh my goodness. There's our front porch. I've got a couple of planters. I had a video recently where I had a big haul of coleus and annuals, and so I potted up these plants with some dragonwing begonia and that potato vine, that the Medusa that will spill over the top. Little Oh So Easy Italian ice didn't overwinter very well. I came back to check things out when I was pruning in the spring, and a lot of its canes were what do you say, we're burnt or dead. So I had to cut it way back. So I'm not sure what it's going to do. I'll put a picture of the screen on the screen of what they look like in full bloom of summer. So it has some buds for sure, but it's not doing so hot. So I don't know. And I have another one of the Oh So Easy Italian ice planted right here. You see that cloche, that little wire cloche over it? In fact, I'll just take it off today and see what happens. So we have, of course, bunnies that love to eat things. And oh, we had some trouble when the roses were first coming up with the bunnies chewing on them. And so I thought this year I'm going to have some defense and put those wire cloches around. So I'm not sure that they'll stay here. I'm going to have to wait and see how they perform. So of course you can see here are 2 new plants, and I had this in a video recently. I'll link that below. But when my son's company came in and did a nice edging for me and mulched everything around the house, I also had him install 2 North Pole arborvitaes. And aren't they gorgeous? They're going to grow about 15 feet tall, which will be nice in this spot. And they only get about, I'd say, around 4 to 5 feet wide. So a perfect slender plant to flank this window. You might be wondering, what is going in here? So between these 2 North Pole arborvitaes, my intention is to plant a rose, a big shrub rose. And actually I have my heart set on the Belinda's blush rose. I mean, how can you not plant a rose that has your name? And just a really quick story. I saw a Belinda blush rose for the very first time in Waco, Texas, on a trip down there with my family to see other family, but also we spent the day at the Magnolia properties. Chip and Joanna Gaines, if you've never heard of them, you need to look them up, but they have a wonderful spot there to visit, and she has lots and lots of gardens, and she has a rose garden on the Magnolia property there. And I came across it and I was like, oh my gosh, Belinda's blush. Had never seen the rose before, and as you can imagine from the name, it's a very pale pink soft blush rose. So I'm hoping maybe for Mother's Day, which is tomorrow, I might be scoring on a Belinda's blush shrub rose to put in between my arborvitaes. So that's what I'm hoping for, at least. So I don't believe I've shown you all this spot before. This is our little rock garden in tribute of our late son, Christopher. This is a gorgeous, very mature red maple that just is absolutely magnificent in the fall. It just glows with beautiful color. I'll see if I can put a picture of this red maple up on the screen so you can see it in all its glory. But anyhow, I had initially, when we moved to this property, tried to plant some things under this maple, and forget it. You may know maples are very shallow rooted, meaning their roots stay close to the top of the soil. And of course, being a very mature maple, it has a million roots. And I had a devil of a time growing stuff. First of all, to get through the roots to plant anything, and I didn't want to damage this gorgeous tree. But also maples take, of course, lots of water from the soil, and so I don't have this on irrigation. And so unless I was to supplement water, irrigate, I was hand watering it, and by golly, I don't have time for that. So anyhow, I said, let's just go the easy route and turn this into a rock garden. And so I've got my little bird bath there and fountain going, and a few mementos and things to help us honor our sweet son Christopher, who we lost. Anyhow, these rocks represent actually rocks that Christopher and his brother Colin collected on some of our big trips out west to Montana and Wyoming and to Canada. And so I thought, yeah, I had such great fond memories of Christopher and Colin collecting rocks and going on adventures in the mountains and the rivers and the streams. And so this is a really peaceful spot for my rock garden. So here we go around to the south side of the house. We're just about there. Just wanted to show you my Magnolia tree. This is Leonard Messel. Leonard is about, I'd say he's probably 4 years old now. Too late for his blooms. His blooms came and went early, but they are magnificent purple and white. All right, so this is the south side of the house, and you can see it's getting loads of sun already in the day. And a recent video, I showed you this little raised bed my husband installed. This raised bed is full of dahlias that I started from seed, the Floret Cancun Girls. So check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. Never grown dahlias from seed before, and this is what they're looking like today. That's of course set up on drip irrigation. But the other thing you can't see is I popped some tubers, some dahlia tubers in this bed as well, in sort of the blank spots. Either I had more room, or a couple of my dahlia from seed starts that I started in the greenhouse didn't survive my transplanting. So I thought, okay, no problem. If you don't survive, I'm going to replace you. And what I did was I stuck some of my tubers down in the soil. So this will all be dahlias. And while it will make this little side of the house beautiful in this section because they get quite tall, really I use it mostly for cutting. We don't spend a lot of time on this side of the house looking at this. So it's really more for me to grow. And I love cut flowers. I love to take them and share them with people as gifts, and also to decorate the inside of the house. So let's walk down to this area. So of course, you know, all the stuff you need for your house, you can see right here. I've got everything on drip irrigation on this side, and I've got my timer set. And so I'm going to be turning on the drip, I think, later today and setting it up on a specific watering schedule. Oh, okay. You got to see this because these are spring bloomers, and what you're looking at right here are the 5 Baptisia or false indigo that I planted. I mean, let's get down here and not look at the, like, isn't that a view? Goodness. So you've got sparkling sapphire, and the bumblebees are bumbling. Let's get in here and see. Hello, bumbles. Oh, they just love it. False indigo baptisia is a pollinator magnet. Let's move in close. See this guy working. He is happy, happy, happy. So yeah, so sparkling sapphire, lemon meringue, these are all proven winners. Shrubs, I consider it a shrub or a perennial. Doesn't really matter, but aren't they spectacular? And that purple and yellow, such a good complement of colors. So it's time to look at these beauties. You know what these are? The peonies or peonies, however you want to say it. I say peonies. And I've got 4 different varieties of peonies. And this is, of course, the time for their blooming. And oh, this particular one has not hardly opened. We've got some buds, but let's see if I can get in here and show you that pretty bloom. Try to get the shadow out. So lovely. This one didn't have very many blooms this year, and a lot of them have already bloomed and dropped off. This one, oh, look at that. So lovely. That pale pink. And then I've got one more down here on the end to show you. Isn't she lovely? Look at that color. Wowzer. So I am going to actually do what I've done before, and that is I am going to come in here later today and cut some of these blooms or buds that are in the what they call the marshmallow stage. Slightly squishy, not really hard. Like I wouldn't cut this one. This one is really, really hard, hasn't opened. But anyhow, you can cut these in the marshmallow stage, wrap them in moist towels or newspapers, and store them in your refrigerator. Then, when you want some flowers to put in a vase or enjoy in the house, you just pop those out, cut the stems again, and put them in fresh water, and they will bloom for you. You know, peonies don't last very long here in Missouri. What happens to peonies is they bloom now and, you know, maybe a couple, 3 weeks at the very most, we'll have flowers. And they last even less long if we have a big storm. If we have a big storm, gosh, these delicate petals, like you see on that one, they can just blow right off. Oh, here comes Alan. He's always doing something. Wave, oh, he's waving to us. Anyhow, okay, so peonies, great. Take a look at what I have planted between these peonies. I just threw these in last year. So this is the Nepeta or cat mint. I can't remember which Nepeta this is, but anyhow, I just tossed them in between. They are so small. Here's one big pollinator attractor. It's got a bumble on it. I don't know if you can see that bumblebee. Oh, he's hiding now. But anyhow, they're just too little for this space. Look at that. So I am going to probably pop those out and of this space and put them somewhere else in the garden. Come down here. This actually was planted, these beautiful purple flowers. I think they're spiderwort. Is that right? I think so. They were here when we moved in another spot that I didn't like, so they are very prolific and they're spreaders, I'm learning. So anyhow, I popped in some here at the point. I had a buddleia here, and the buddleia didn't do well. And I have since learned through my research that buddleias don't like to be too wet. They need really good drainage, and I think I planted my buddleia way too deep. So these spiderwort, though, I think that's what they are. Help me if I'm wrong. Please leave a note in the comments. Anyhow, they love it here. And here's just a little simple hosta bed. This, of course, is south. That, of course, is east. So they get some morning sun. But then when the sun goes this way, they're shaded. And when the sun's lower in the sky, they're definitely shaded from this ugly concrete retaining wall. So they love it here. So I just have quite a variety. And if you were with me the other day, I had potted up some coleus and put a green pot here for it to fill in this spot. But I happened to see this beautiful hosta. It's a proven winter's hosta. It was on sale. I grabbed a couple of those. Oh, I can't remember the name of this one. Anyways, I moved the pot and popped in this hosta. I just love. It's so lightly colored. I hope it picks up on the screen against that hosta. So anyhow, this one will fill in that little corner quite nicely. So as we move over to this area, I've got one of my Aquapot light pots filled with Gara and Maverick geraniums that I grew from seed for my very first attempt. And here's where I put that pot that I was just referring to. That is going to be lovely, filled with purple coleus that will get about 3 foot tall. There's 3 plants in there, so that'll be a really pretty addition. And by the way, my sweet husband connected this pot to drip. That's all through this garden bed. He ran the tubing up here, and it's coming up the back side of the pot and up through on the top of the soil. So I won't have to remember to water coleus, and they need plenty of water, that's for darn sure. So this bed should be called the work in progress bed. I ripped everything out of this bed this spring, early spring, and I have placed 3 Limelight Prime hydrangeas there from Proven Winners, and they will get nice and tall and wide, so they'll be a beautiful backdrop. My intention is to fill in the rest of this bed with a lot of the things that I tried to grow from seed, like gomphrena and salvia. And I tried to grow agastache or agastache, and it was bad. It did not turn out. So I might have gotten a little over ambitious thinking I could fill this in with plants that I grew from seed. But anyways, this is a work in progress for sure. Over here, of course, another pretty hosta. Again, this area gets morning sun and afternoon shade. There's the spiderwort. And then this is a buddleia. I can't remember, butterfly bush. I can't remember what variety. And then this spot right here really needs something. And so I am growing some sunflowers. And I'm thinking, because they get rather tall, even though this is east facing, this is set way out from the house. So this gets sun most of the day. I mean, it gets some shade, but most of the day it's sunny. All right, let's walk around. So this is technically, this whole area is considered the north side of the house, but as you can imagine, you see how this point comes quite far away from the house. So this gets easily 6 hours of sun, this area right here, during the day. The only time it's shaded is late afternoon when the sun's on that side of the house. So what do I have here? I have 3 little lime punch hydrangeas from my favorite Proven Winners company. Last year was their first year, and they bloomed in their very first year, and so they're putting on some growth. So remember, first year they sleep, second year they creep, so they're creeping and growing, and then next summer they should leap. Really excited about this. In between, you can barely see it, but I popped in my favorite annuals from Proven Winners. You all know by now, Super Petunia series by them. The Vista series is incredible. That one indigo plant will probably get 3 foot in diameter. It will fill this whole area in this summer. So I've got the beautiful blue or purple next to the yellow Mini Vista yellow, and another purple. There's some Brunnera. I'm growing Brunnera for the first time. There's some coleus. I had a recent video on that. Over here, some new coleus called Copperhead. There's a Brunnera, and there's some Astilbe behind the Brunnera. In fact, I need to probably cut back the Astilbe a little bit, so that Brunnera is definitely going to fill in. Here we are, another little bed on this next little terrace. I've got 4 hostas that surround Mr. Mikawa Yatsubusa. We just planted this Japanese maple. It's a dwarf multi-branching maple that will fill in this space in a really nice way. So I repeated the proven winner is mini Vista petunias up here as well, because this area is going to get a lot of sun. And again, each one of these will get enormous this summer. Last year when I planted the Vista series petunias in this front of this bed, they got between 3 and 4 feet in diameter. So you just have to be patient and they'll fill in and just look gorgeous.